Hi guys, so today's video is just my August month in review, and I will admit that not a lot of books were read in August because we went back to work and I had to start doing this e-learning, which honestly I feel has tripled my workload as a teacher. With the books that I did read, I enjoyed them and I'm glad to share them with you. So welcome to a literary odyssey where we love to read books, but we love the journey even more. So let's just get straight into the book. So the first book that I read and finished in the month was the book I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. I will link in the description box below the review that I made on this book. So I'm not going to go into extensive detail about this book because I did dedicate a full book review video on this, but I will say highly recommended, beautifully well written book, 5 stars out of 5. Very soon I will be buying the second edition to the 7-book autobiography, which is called Gather Together in My Name. So I'm really excited about that. The second book that I finished in the month of August was The Five by Haley Rubenhold. Once again, another 5-star out of 5. For some reason, this has been kind of a semi-good month of reading, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But this was another 5-star out of 5. I will also link the video down below that I did of an independent book review on this book as well. A brief kind of overview of that book is it is a nonfiction, which is something not new to me, but I'm more steered towards fiction. I love novels, but this was a book that I really wanted to read because I've always been kind of fascinated by Jack the Ripper and his victims because I don't know, as a woman, I couldn't imagine all of his victims simply just being prostitutes. I don't know, I kind of wanted their backstory, and I was very amazed that someone actually did that for me. So that was great. Those were the actual books that I finished in the month of August. The book that I'm currently reading now, and I believe I'm about, I want to say about 55, maybe 60% of the way through, is The Harbor Master. On the cover, it really doesn't say, it says it's by Simmons. If you've watched my other videos, you know that one of my biggest life goals is to read all the books from the New York Times bestsellers. I first started off in 2015, and I started off kind of like going backwards from 2015 because I noticed it was easier to find the books. However, a problem that I started noticing quite frequently and almost immediately was that starting from the last year of 2015, in which I began reading the New York Times bestsellers on, I would find that I was reading books in series, and instead of starting like the first book in the series, I was starting like book number 10, and so I'd be lost, and then I wouldn't be able to give the book its proper due. And one very common example of that was when I read wow, I'm kind of drawing a blank. They made a movie on it. Oh man, I'm really drawing a blank. Maybe hopefully by the end of this video, when I like step away, ooh, maybe it's on my, is it on my, nope, I gotta find it, but that's okay. There's like another book that I read. Apparently it was like the 8th book in the series, and to me I thought it was absolutely horrible. Oh, Written in My Own Heart's Blood was the book. I think it's like the 8th book in this book series. Oh man, it was awful. But when I looked online, it got these crazy raves and reviews. And I kind of felt bad because I didn't give the book the credit that it was due, only because I read it out of series. So with that whole rambling aside, the reason why I bring that up is because I now have decided to start reading the books on the New York Times bestseller from the first year it began onward, so I wouldn't have this problem again. And I will say the biggest problem is the New York Times bestseller started in 1930. That's a relatively long time ago, and so the books that were first selected are either hard to find or they're very expensive. One example of that would be the Ten Commandments by Wardwick Dipping, and this was the first New York Times bestseller book. And this book is a first edition, so I'm kind of shocked that I was able to find it. But it had significant wear and tear, and so the distributor or the private person that I bought it from allowed me to buy it for $40. Yes, it's very expensive for a book, but that's extremely cheap for a first edition, let alone the first book ever selected on the New York Times bestseller. Now, going back to The Harbor Master, the book that I'm reading now, this came out in 1931. It is the third book that was selected on the New York Times bestseller. This one cost me about $32. It's in a little bit better condition. Does have like a little wear and tear on the front, but I have been getting really lucky because I've been getting first editions. That's actually extremely rare, and especially for the price that I'm getting them at. So I started reading that book kind of, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and it's been kind of hard for me to read, like I said, with work and everything. And then I really started picking up like running and working out. So I've only been able to pretty much read on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I will also say it's a slow read because it's a significantly boring read to me. I'm not feeling the story at all. It's not interesting to me at all. Storyline, I can't like wrap myself up into it or feel connected to the characters. So at this point, it's taking longer than expected because it is kind of I want to say taxing to just sit there and read this book because half the time I fall asleep. But I am looking forward to, once I'm done with it, actually making its own independent video as well. So when we come to that point, I will pretty much make that video, edit it, and put it up. But yeah, that is my August month in review. Normally I try to read about a book, 2 books a week. But yeah, e-learning has made life hard for teachers. So I will highly recommend The Five and Why the Caged Bird Sings. Oh wow, I just realized my 2 books for the month of August were nonfiction. Huh. We can call this like a nonfiction month. Oh, and they're both blue. Yeah, if you want to really enjoy some reading this upcoming month, really pick up these books. I promise you would enjoy it. And if you do and you decide to read it and you finish it, just comment in the comment box below whether or not you agree with my 5-star review. So other than that, I hope everybody has an amazing rest of their day.